Deep within the heart of Africa lies the mighty Congo Basin, one of the largest and most mysterious jungles in the world. Stretching across 6 countries, its dense canopy hides countless secrets of life and survival. In the Democratic Republic of Congo, the jungle breathes with the songs of birds, the whispers of leaves, and the mighty roar of its river. The river slices through the forest like a serpent, its wild current rushing with unstoppable force, surrounded on both sides by endless green. On one fateful day, tragedy struck. A tiny lion cub, fragile and innocent, slipped from the safety of the jungle floor and tumbled helplessly into the raging waters. The current seized its small body, pulling it downstream. The cub struggled, tiny paws thrashing, eyes wide with fear, as the merciless river threatened to take its life. In the stillness of the Congo Basin jungle, a strange sound echoed above the calls of birds and rustling leaves. It was not the cry of any animal the forest knew well. It was sharper, filled with fear, and carried on the wind like a desperate plea. The mighty silverback gorilla, leader of his troop, paused. His sharp ears twitched, and his powerful chest rose as he listened again. The cry grew louder, frantic, as if life itself was slipping away near the roaring river. Curiosity turned into urgency. The gorilla raced through the undergrowth, his heavy arms pounding the earth. When he reached the riverbank, his dark eyes widened. A lion cub, helpless and drowning, gasped for life between violent waves. The gorilla's mind raced. How could he save this fragile creature? The silverback gorilla did not hesitate. With a deep breath and a thunderous leap, he plunged into the raging water. The current slammed against his massive body, waves rising high as if to tear him apart. Yet his powerful arms pushed forward, stroke by stroke, defying the river's fury. Ahead, the tiny lion cub vanished beneath the surface, swallowed by the current. The gorilla's heart pounded. He dove, his strong hands cutting through the water until he felt soft fur beneath his grip. With a surge of strength, he lifted the cub high above the waves. Clutching the fragile life to his chest, the gorilla fought his way back to the riverbank. At last, gasping and drenched, he pulled the cub to safety. The mighty gorilla staggered out of the river, dripping wet, clutching the trembling cub. Gently, he placed the tiny lion on the grassy bank, giving it a moment to breathe. The cub coughed weakly, water dripping from its nose, then let out a faint cry. The gorilla lowered his massive head, almost like a nod of thanks, as both finally caught their breath. Moments later, with surprising tenderness, he lifted the cub once more and pressed it against his broad chest, the rhythm of his heartbeat calming the frightened little creature. Slowly, step by step, he carried the cub back through the forest. When they reached the troop, young gorillas gathered around, eyes wide with curiosity. A predator's baby among them. It was something they had never seen before. The lion cub, once weak and trembling, now found unexpected safety within the gorilla troop. At first, the young gorillas kept their distance, peeking from behind their mothers, but slowly curiosity turned into acceptance. The gorilla leader watched carefully, making sure no one harmed the fragile guest. The cub was offered bits of fruit and leaves, though it struggled with the taste. Still, the troop seemed determined to share what they had. At night, the gorilla leader tucked the cub close, shielding it from the chill of the forest air. 2 days passed like this, protected, fed, and comforted. Somehow, the predator's child was no longer a threat, but a strange new member of the family. By the 3rd morning, the gorilla leader noticed the cub's sadness had only grown deeper. Though cared for and protected, the little lion stirred restlessly, crying softly for its missing mother. The leader realized the truth. The cub did not belong here. Gathering his strength, the gorilla let out a low call. At once, 7 members of his troop stepped forward, understanding his unspoken decision. Together, they would guide the cub back to where it truly belonged. The leader gently held the cub against his chest and began the slow march through the forest. His troops surrounded him like guardians, moving silently yet with purpose. This was not just his burden anymore, it was theirs. The family of gorillas had chosen to return the lion to its own. With the cub held gently against his chest, the gorilla leader led his troop through thick grass, the morning sun casting long shadows across the land. The journey was quiet, but heavy with purpose. Soon, the scent of lions drifted through the air. The troops slowed, their steps cautious. As they reached the edge of lion territory, movement rippled across the plain. A group of lions appeared, muscles tense, eyes fixed on the approaching gorillas. The mother lioness stood at the front, her gaze fierce yet desperate, her ears twitching as she caught the faint cries of her cub. Both sides froze. Gorillas stood tall and protective, lions crouched in readiness. The air crackled with tension. One wrong move could spark a battle. The gorilla leader stood firm, the fragile cub pressed safely against his chest. The lioness crept closer, her golden eyes locked on the tiny figure. Her muscles trembled, ready to strike, yet something stopped her. A faint cry rose from the cub, soft, familiar, desperate. Her pace slowed. Each step was cautious, her growl fading into a low whimper. The cub wriggled weakly, reaching its tiny paw toward her. Recognition pierced through her instincts. The urge to fight melted into a mother's need. The gorilla did not flinch. He lowered his arms just enough for the lioness to see her baby's face. Her heart pounded, torn between instinct and relief. The world stood still. With steady hands, the gorilla leader bent low and placed the tiny cub gently upon the grass. The baby whimpered once, then crawled toward its mother. The lioness stepped forward, her fierce eyes softening as she nuzzled her cub, licking away its fears. Relief flowed through her every breath. The gorilla troop stood quietly behind their leader, watching without hostility. For a moment, the forest seemed to hold its breath. No roars, no growls, only the silent language of gratitude. The lioness lifted her gaze, locking eyes with the gorilla. There were no words, yet the message was clear: respect, trust, and an unspoken bond. Two enemies, sharing peace, if only for a fleeting moment. The lioness, with her cubs safe at her side, slowly turned and led her pride back into the tall grass. The gorilla troop, calm yet watchful, retreated toward the dense forest. Step by step, the two families disappeared into their own worlds, carrying with them the weight of what had just happened. The jungle exhaled. Birds sang again, leaves swayed in the breeze, and the river's flow seemed gentler. Deep in Africa's green heart, a story of compassion had been written, one that would remain hidden except to those who believe in the bond between life itself. Moments like these remind us that even nature, fierce and wild, knows peace. If you felt this story touch your heart, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to Animal Survival Stories for more emotional journeys.